Welcome. It is RambleCast. Last one of the year, officially. I honestly, you never know. It might not be, but it is. It might not be. It is. I swear there's a possibility, but there's not.
I'm not showing up again. So you can do it alone if you wish.
There is that.
But this is my last contractual obligation for Cody this year.
We'll see. So yeah. Oh, Curvy, don't even say it. 2020.2. Anyway.
Yeah, we're still in March. We never left.
I mean, come on. At this point, we're like into November of 2020. Maybe.
I don't know, Cody. It feels like fall outside, not November. We're having some kind of weird warm weather moment in the South U.S. right now.
I will trade you so hard.
Like I don't like I like, you know, upper 60s, you know, lower 70s Fahrenheit weather, but I would kind of like something a little bit colder right now. just a bit. Just because I know like the longer it's gonna be like warmer here, like the more insane like all the bugs will be in like the spring and summer. So I'm just like, can we get like a nice like couple freezes in here so the clock outside resets?
I will trade you across right now for our weather.
I already had a very weird bug show up in my bathroom like a month ago. That wasn't fun.
Well, tell the CIA to keep out. See, weird twist.
Mm-hmm.
No, our weather. Wait. Yeah, there's the right scene. Our weather is straight up freaking horrible right now. It is. Oh, I just realized I misshaped your window, so it's super far out of view. Okay, or too wide. Anyway, so yeah, our high for the rest of the week is gonna be 46 degrees. Luckily, it looks like we somehow, shockingly, are kind of possibly clear of the snow. Maybe not, but if it does snow again, it's not gonna hopefully be very much. We've already had like a foot where it was supposed to be spread out over this whole week. It turned out to all hit in like a day and a half. So I've hated every second of it. It actually has brought down a limb that is currently hanging over my garage. No car in there, fortunately, but still. Yeah, that's going to cost a fortune to bring down without doing more damage.
Nice.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. Currently, in fact, I'm living like an old ancient person. I have no running water in the house for that same reason of the limb. But it's connected with where the pump is. Anyway, yeah, I have no running water. We've had power outages, or well, brownouts, not actual like long-term power outages, which hooray, believe me, that's worse. But yeah, I've had to turn tons of stuff off to make sure it doesn't get fried. Yeah, it's not fun. I hate this.
Yeah, I remember the last time I got like something resembling large amounts of snow, again by South standards. Yeah. Like, you know, as in like we're not built for literally any amount of snow, so it's, you know, it's exponential.
A dusting is enough to kill people.
Right, like no one down here, like none of the cities down here have like a de-icer on standby.
You don't even have one in the state. Actually, that's probably not true. You might have like one.
Yeah, definitely like the mountain part of North Carolina gets some snow. So there's probably a couple here. I don't know about Georgia, but yeah. I remember the last time we got something like that. The neighborhood I used to live in, I don't know what kind of stupid ass trees they planted across in neighborhoods where they plant like a tree every like 10 feet or something along the roads. I don't know what stupid trees they planted when they built that neighborhood, but even when just like normal rain, like the branches would sag, like they would just absorb water. So when it snowed, which obviously is water, and then there's the normal water on top of that from when it was like above, just above freezing, goes back to raining. All the trees were like sagging for days, so of course like all the limbs came down. There was one road leading to my part of where our house was, and it was just like a stretch of like, it might have been like I think it was like a quarter of a mile, just with like no houses around it. It was like next to a stream or something, and just a bunch of trees and branches fell down there. Like someone, like it actually was blocking the road until someone with like a saw, like just like sawed off the remainder of some tree and like pushed it to the side. It was terrible. Again, I don't know what idiot put those trees there. They got the worst trees possible.
Really quickly, I just switched to a picture I took out of my my front door, basically, and it's showing what is, I'm not actually sure what type of like tree or shrub. I'm not really sure what it should technically be called. Yeah. Anyway, it has these huge tendrils of snow just hanging on it, and all of this stuff should be pointed up. It is, but it's all curled over like a candy cane. Yeah.
Again, like I don't know what trees were in that neighborhood. My mom and I refer to them as the stupid trees, so that's my official term for them.
That does say a lot.
Yeah, they were pretty stupid trees. Like you can't even stand upright. Come on, it's like your one job. Well, besides making air.
Tell that to all the trees around us that have fallen. Because
for shame.
Yeah, it happens every time it snows here. Trees come down like everywhere. Roads are just, the roads technically aren't destroyed, but they're impossible to drive.
Yeah, I have not seen what one of those storms is like here yet since I moved. Doesn't really seem like there's going to be much snow activity this winter, it seems like, unless there's just like a sudden freeze in February or something, which does happen sometimes. I remember one time when I was in Georgia, we got snow in like March, which was very weird, but yeah. With climate change being a thing, maybe I'll see snow in June. Who knows?
For what it's worth, when I first moved to Las Vegas, I was under the impression there was no such thing as snow in Vegas. In fact, that was one of the things I was kind of happy about. And then, sure enough, while I was at work one day, middle of the day, somebody comes in and says, "Hey, everyone, come out here. It's snowing." And I mean, dear. Again, this is middle of the day, not even like at night.
Right.
And yeah, so we all crowd outside and we're all just looking at it like, wait a second, this is a joke, right? Like, did somebody pull some weird science crap? And half of us aren't even standing out there in jackets. We're
one of like the giant hotels on the strip there, fake snow machine broke and just started ejecting it everywhere, right?
I have actually been to I was actually, for real, what's that guy's name, the redheaded guy who was the big oh crap, he was a major snowboarder and skateboarder. That's gonna bug me.
I don't know any snowboarders, Cody. I'm sorry.
Oh I'm gonna have to look this up. Anyway, I actually saw this guy compete in a parking lot in Las Vegas snowboarding. They trucked in like mountains of snow and got a snow machine to make a half pipe in a parking lot in Las Vegas and put on a demo. And yeah, it was crazy. Shaun White.
Oh, yes. Okay. I do know who Shaun White is. That must be the only one I know.
Yeah. Anyway, go figure. I had a feeling you'd know who he was. Anyway.
So there was snow in Las Vegas. That I would not think there would be snow there either, because it's like in a desert, right? It's like desert climate.
Well, to be fair, desert doesn't really mean no snow. Because strictly speaking, like, deserts can get stupendously cold. Usually there's not snow because it is just too dry. Like, there isn't the moisture for it. But if you kind of get that right merger of one of those days with enough humidity,
some system that develops somewhere else blows in.
Yeah, exactly. And it just happens to be cold enough, then it happens. But even then, like, that's the reason that you expect a dusting, and that's all we got in that time. Then the year I moved away from Vegas, they actually got like a real snow. They ended up with something like 6 or 7 inches actually sticking, which was mind-boggling. I didn't think that was possible, and then I saw it and it's like, okay. And anyone who thinks climate change isn't real, you dumb. Like, Vegas just proved something. So there it is. Stop arguing.
So speaking of Las Vegas, how's that CES going?
Nice segue.
Thank you.
That's actually better than I was trying to think of a good one for your topic, but no. Yours is better.
Speaking of things Cody saw a long time ago, CES.
Yes. No. So if anyone hasn't heard this, I mean, it's kind of old news now, but like, every major tech company has pretty much said either their in-person event is going to get scaled down, or they're just not doing it. Like, plain and simple, almost everyone major has pulled out. There's still a bunch of minor companies, and there are still a few kind of semi-major, but not really like the big names.
Yeah, it's like a sliding scale. Like, some companies are like, we're totally out, we're not sending a single person there, our booth will be empty. And then there's some companies that are like, yeah, like, we put Jeff in the booth there, he's in a like radiation suit if you want to go visit him, but we're doing all of our stuff online. So it varies, but like AT&T's out, GM's out, Intel's out, not IBM, sorry, Google's out, Waymo, which is kind of Google, is out, Lenovo's
Microsoft is out. The list.
I know AMD, I believe, said that like they're gonna be there, but they're doing their big announcements online. I think they're gonna do like they're gonna announce new Ryzen CPUs. I think they usually do something like that at CES. But I was looking at this article from Protocol that listed a few, but it's unraveling. But they're still doing it. Did you see the LinkedIn post from the Yahoo that runs CES?
I'm not sure. I might have read it, but
okay. I might have posted it in one of the chats that we're both in. I don't remember, but I'll send you. I'll put the link in the RambleCast if you want to put it up. As soon as I find that there it is.
Okay. Yeah, you'll beat into it.
Yeah, so this is from Gary Shapiro, which I don't know if there's any relation to Ben Shapiro, but he does talk like that.
I mean, he does have the really cringy smile in his profile picture.
The profile picture that's blank?
That's putting it generously, but okay.
Okay. Yeah, so he wrote a week. This is from a week ago. Well, actually, let me look at his profile, see if there's anything new, or has he backtracked? I don't think he has, but
I can't imagine he would.
no, I just wanted to. God, LinkedIn did something fucky. I can't find anything on it anymore.
Quick glance.
Okay, I'll have to look later. But yeah, so a week ago he wrote, CES 2022 will take place January 5 to 8 in Las Vegas and digitally around the globe. CES is the world's most important innovation event. Sure. And innovation is more important now than ever. Hundreds of companies will showcase healthcare tech, including testing and treatments for COVID-19, alongside amazing innovations in food, space, robotics, connected homes, and more. While media has focused on a few dozen cancellations, CES has seen overall growth in exhibitor numbers in the past month. In fact, over 60 companies have signed on to exhibit since Friday. And then he goes on to say that masking is required on the show floor, and that they're going to have self-tests everywhere, and they're urging attendees to get boosters and flu shots. That, from what I could tell, they do require vaccinations there, but again, that's not doing much right now.
No.
Everyone's still getting sick. Like, I know, like at least 10 people I know who are fully vaccinated and are still like in bed from COVID right now. So
at least they're in their beds. That's
correct.
That's
correct.
important.
They're not hooked up to some machine in a hospital on the brink of death.
Yeah. That honestly, like, legitimately, that's the difference.
Yes,
That's what matters.
Yes, that is very important. So, but yeah, so again, very weird LinkedIn post. Especially, I love the line that says, "While media has focused on a few dozen cancellations." Like, okay, buddy. Like, again, like I know we had this whole conversation last time, but like, yes, people are focused on the big names at events. This is how all
Yeah.
events work. Like,
they're the anchors. You can't just write off the major companies as a few dozen cancellations, which, by the way, a few dozen is a lot. We're not saying a dozen. We're not saying a couple dozen. A few, by most people's definitions, is like 4 and above. Mm-hmm. I don't know. You could argue maybe it's 3 and above, but it's more than 2. A few is definitely more than 2. At which point, rewrite that number to be, say, 35, 45 territory at a minimum. That's a shitload. That is a lot of big companies to be dropping. And and again, like, and those are the companies that generate announcements that people care about with CES, like in the name. Like, Samsung announces X at CES. Like, those are the news stories that keep CES in people's minds. Or like on whatever embargo day, and like you check your YouTube feed and there's like 30 videos about the same thing from CES. Like, yep, that's what matters. So again, just to, exactly the kind of tone I would expect from someone running CES, where we're trying to minimize the damage. Well, anyone who runs a business is going to think this way. They're going to operate this way. I get it. In his manner of speaking, I don't blame him, because that is technically his job. It is even arguably his responsibility to put a positive spin on it. Yeah. Or as positive as it can. Oh, I did log into LinkedIn, and now it's showing me the profile picture. So now I see, there's a little bit of a creepy smile there. Yeah. Okay, so I also want to actually nitpick the second part of that statement, which was over 60 companies have signed on to exhibit since Friday. Now, think about what that actually means. This was posted 2 weeks before CES. Yeah. What companies are waiting until the very last second to show up? Right, but think about it in a different light. So they have all these cancellations. by a bunch of companies that are all getting not just like a tiny booth. They were the companies that set up big ass floor space. Now you have 60 companies that have signed on. What do you think happened? They just subdivided all that floor space and contacted 60 some companies or so, probably way more than that, and basically said, look, we can give you a really good deal. If you can get here, if you can make plans, we can give you a booth for super cut rate prices. Mm-hmm. That's how they've got 60 companies, or probably even more.
Like airplane seats?
Yeah.
Someone cancel last second, you get the upgrade to first class, buddy.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, there's like, I'm imagining like one like tiny booth just in the center of this massive floor space that was meant for Intel. Like there's just one dude like in the corner like, hey, you want to check out my ODM components?
Does Intel get massive floor space? Honestly, I don't remember. I honestly do not remember their booth the time I went there.
I don't know. I've never been to CES. That's not the one I usually pay attention to, like, right, in terms of
nobody does
floor show stuff. So I don't.
But I'll tell you who does do big floor space. It's LG and Samsung. Like legitimately, not even kidding.
Oh yeah,
you can get lost in their spaces.
You need a lot of space for all those TVs to be set up.
That's exactly why. Because
and fridges.
It's not
lots of TVs and fridges.
You'd be surprised. The fridges don't get a lot of floor space. The TVs are their floor thing. The fridges get their keynotes. I wish I was kidding. Like their appliances are the thing that they're announcing. The TVs they just show off, and then they've got like a corner spot for their phones. Which, wrap your head around how weird that is. But yeah, that's the whole thing. Honestly, I think CES, they have suddenly all this space to fill. Because if they don't, that's the other thing of it. If they don't fill that space, all these exhibitors are going to show up, fill in the spots that they were already assigned. And then people are going to show up, and what's the story going to be? Oh, CES is a ghost town. Remember when Google Plus launched, and maybe you don't, but when Google Plus launched and all these people got in there and they're like, man, it's a ghost town. Well, it was a ghost town in part because they weren't following anybody, but it was also a ghost town because Google didn't really have a plan for the launch part of their launch. Like they didn't know what they were going to do to make it a big deal in the early days. And you know, CES, this is a big problem for them. If they don't have that entire convention hall filled, I guarantee they're going to be, I mean, I can think of a particular website right now that loves to do these types of gotcha pieces. They would 100% send somebody with a camera to whatever corner of CES is just kind of empty, and they would take pictures. They would take a crap load of pictures just so they could show off how that it's doesn't have every space.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's exactly like every like conservative outlet or conservative person when they go find like the creepiest corner of Chicago and they take a picture like, look at how terrible Chicago has become.
I mean, I haven't been to Chicago, but I've heard stories from people that live there. Chicago does have some pretty creepy, not just corners, like whole spaces.
Although I would love to. You know what I wanted to do for. I wrote the article on XDA about all the companies pulling out, and I did ask if I could make the feature image that one famous photo from DashCon, you know, with like the ball pit that everyone laughed at. You remember that?
I don't think so.
Okay, there was a convention in I think 2014 called DashCon, and it was mostly made by organized by like people on Tumblr who didn't know how to organize conventions. So it was a huge disaster, and like everything they planned didn't work out. It's like one of the few things they had. It was just like a ball pit, like for kids, like a blow up ball pit, and they had in the corner, and then that became a meme. But yeah, He said, yeah, he said like I don't know how many people. I was told I don't know how many people will get that, so that didn't end up being the image, but I wanted it to be. And I was scrolling through the comments on Mr. Shapiro's post, and it's they're rough.
I didn't even think about looking at comments.
Yeah, some of them are like, "Yay, you know, I'll see you there," and like, "Oh yeah, I'm triple vax, ready to go." Like, okay. And then the first one I scrolled to is Michael.
That's the one I just saw. Yeah,
Michael Kirkab saying, "You are an evil segregationist and on the wrong side of history, presumably because you have to be vaxxed slightly to get in the door."
Maybe.
Yeah. Well, there's another one. If you go down a little bit further, Michael Davidson from Quicksol International wrote, "If you were truly leading, you would recognize natural immunity, which provides far superior protection from COVID-19 than a vaccine, and not require those with natural immunity to get a vaccine."
Oh, jeez.
Okay, Michael.
Yeah, the Michaels are not. The
Michaels are
well
not
here.
happy. Yeah,
but
no, not all Michaels are like this. I know some very nice Michaels.
I know one. I guess 1.5.
These comments are great though, because it's like him. It's a lot of like the people who are on LinkedIn, like they're really like this is people who are excited to go, and then there's like the people complaining about vaccines, and then there's the people like me that are like, "Why are you doing this, you idiot?"
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's. Don't get me wrong. I mean, again, I get why. Like, the millions and millions of dollars that are on the line here, it kind of makes sense. But holy crap. Like, you gotta be... Like,
imagine using your LinkedIn account to call someone a segregationist because you don't want to get vaccinated to go to a bad trade show.
Yeah, exactly. And
how sad. This is what whenever you're feeling like down about yourself, like maybe I've made some mistakes in my life, like just think about Michael here. He's using the account most visible to employers to bitch about vaccines.
I wonder how many employers actually look through your history of comments, though. I don't even know if they can see that.
I don't know.
Though it's LinkedIn, I bet there's a way you can pay. Employers have to have a way to pay for that.
Well, okay, so here's the thing. I did tell someone to fuck off on LinkedIn once, and then I saw that like on your LinkedIn profile, it does have like a little block for like recent activity, and that includes comments you made. So I was like, okay, probably should delete that now. But I was justified in telling the person to fuck off.
Yeah.
Because it was one of those posts that LinkedIn was like shoving on my page. Like, I check it like once every 6 months. So I was, was looking through the feed, and if you don't follow anyone, they like find things to put there, like Twitter. And it was some post, and it was some post about like, this was like a year ago, of like, it was something related to like hiring millennials versus hiring Gen Z people, and there was like 3 or 4 people in the comments who were like, Gen Z is just lazy. I told one of those people to fuck off.
Yeah, that's deserved.
Yeah. You ever loop in like an entire generation of people with nothing in common except they happen to be bored in the same year?
Yeah.
And call all of them lazy? Okay. All right, Jennifer.
Well, I'm sorry, but it's no different than being racist or any, I'm sorry, but you're literally just saying, hey, these people who are born this way are somehow worse. Like, come on now. Shut the hell up.
Yeah. Which,
by the way, is the same reason I also find it just disgusting that people have decided to take over the term boomer. I know it's the popular thing to do, or semi-trendy, but
yeah,
man, I'm sorry, but the hey boomer stuff, I think that is just the lowest quality insult, because it's basically being ageist, but it's not, because it's a way of saying someone's stupid, but you're also transitively saying, well, We're calling you stupid by calling you this, but effectively we're also saying you're just as stupid as the old people, which means you're calling the old people stupid. It's like, no, come on, do better. If you're gonna insult somebody, try harder. Like,
can I call the CES person a boomer though? Will you allow that?
I mean, when you just look at his face, honestly, I feel like there's so many better insults for him.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm kind of inclined to allow boomer in this instance, but okay. I'm just saying, that face, man, that face.
He looks like that looks like the face of someone who has killed. He definitely choked someone out like 15 years ago, and he's still thinking about it.
I happen to be currently watching or rewatching Dexter from the beginning. And I gotta say, he totally does actually look like somebody who was just dispatched a few episodes ago. So, yeah, I kind of buy it. He does have the murder face going.
Yeah.
In fact, oh god, do that thing where you cover up like the lower half of his face. I see full murder. Kind of. Also, if you cover the top half.
Yeah, just any half. Cover the whole thing.
Oh, yeah. You know what? Just cover the left half.
Yeah.
The man has murder face. It's a thing. Oh, boy. Yeah. And so Cody gets sued off of the stream in 3, 2, 1.
Well, you haven't called anyone the C word yet, Cody, so you're fine.
Conservative?
No, the other C word.
Cross-dresser?
Do you not know about this? No.
I mean,
someone got banned on Twitch for calling someone a cracker.
Oh, I had two other C words that I was thinking way before that one.
You'd think it was like the cuss C word, but no. That was kind of funny. But anyway, so speaking of bad things, Microsoft Edge is getting worse.
Good transition.
Thank you. I'm on a roll today. The Dayquil is giving me superpowers.
That's how stuff like that works for me. Anyway.
Yeah. So Microsoft, I love what's happening with Edge, because Microsoft got everyone for 5 minutes to like their new web browser, and then they're just like, it's like they realize, oh wait, we have too much positive press. We don't know how to deal with this. We're just gonna make it bad again.
When too much goodwill is just too much of a thing, they can't handle it.
Yeah. So they've been adding a lot of garbage to Edge in the past couple months. You know, they were doing the whole thing on Windows 11 where some links, like from the start menu, only open in Edge, and they're like actively blocking ways to get around that. But like just in the Edge browser itself, I read about one thing they started testing a couple weeks ago, where it was like the like splitting payments up into months, like that's just in the web browser for some reason. And you know, they've got like Microsoft Office integration in there. They've got like a math solver. The latest thing they're adding is just a games panel, like a sidebar that you open, and it has games in it. I don't know why. I don't know why they're doing that. Why is that in the web browser?
Well, you know what?
I don't. It's not. As far as I know, it's not like enabled by default, but that could just change after they're done testing it.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, it's like, why are you doing this?
Well, for a long time, they were doing the whole thing where they were just automatically bundling games with Windows. I mean, and not like their built-in house solitaire game, but I mean, oh, who was it? It was.
There was the pinball. They didn't make the 3D pinball.
Yeah,
that was another company.
There was that, but no, it was. Oh my God! Why can I not think of the name of it? The Candy Crush.
Yeah,
they were bundling Candy Crush for a while. Like, I get it. They're charging an arm and a leg to bundle it, but why?
I know and I guess this is like a symptom of just the web browser becoming like the only app. Because like Google had this thing, it has gone through this too, where they're just adding completely unrelated stuff to the web browser. Usually when Google does it, it's at least somewhat useful, so I think they get a pass for it with a lot of people. Like the whole, I think they implemented nearby share in Chrome, right, for like Mac and Windows, like that lived inside of Chrome. So like, why is that in the web browser? But because it's like somewhat useful, it gets a pass for most people. For a while, like you could only use Hangouts on your computer with Chrome. Like you had to be a Chrome extension. Like, why is that a thing? Like, so Google has done this a lot too. But like, I'm not trying to defend it, but I get like why there's not like the outrage there is when Microsoft puts a game panel in Edge, where it's like kind of useful. It should be its own app, but I understand. But like, but this is just blood.
Yeah.
It's like they saw that people really like the dinosaur game in Google, and they want to one up them. But
okay, but this isn't like an Easter egg.
No, it's just obnoxious.
Yeah, this is a case of them
and I think
marketing other games.
Yeah, and I think they already have their own like dinosaur game equivalent. Like I think it's something different in Edge.
Oh, I'm sure, but
yeah. So anyway, yeah. So Edge is it's gross now, which is a shame because like I was kind of looking at it at one point as my backup for whenever Firefox blew up, but now it's not. So don't really know what to do with whenever Firefox dies. I guess I'll just stop using a web browser. But yeah, I don't know. I wonder at what point does Microsoft get tossed with another anti-competitive lawsuit? Probably never, because our government doesn't really do that anymore. But just between like
they just won't hit Apple. They kind of threatened to slap Google, and they're kind of on their way to doing that. They should have slapped Apple several times and just haven't. So I think they still do it. They're just not. They just haven't gotten there yet with Google, and they're never going to do it to Apple. They're kind of still sort of halfway trying to do it with cellular companies, or were trying to do it. They were stopping mergers. That's something.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I think again they're ramping up to the exact same place they were when they got sued over Internet Explorer, right? Where they're like, oh, I mean they've been doing this since Windows 10 came out, where they started with Edge, and there was the whole thing on Windows 10 where like every time you do a Windows 10 update, it would just revert your default browser back to Edge. Mm-hmm. There were always parts of Windows 10 that would open links, and they would always open in Edge. And that's continued on to Windows 11. Like they're like actively building that in. It's not like an accidental thing. Like there's when you open a link in certain parts, the URL starts with like Edge / like not a URL, like something that's like targeted to open in Edge only.
Yeah.
And there was the thing that like everyone, it usually gets news coverage like once every couple months because people realize it again, and it's ridiculous where if you try to do when you open Edge, it uses Bing by default. So what usually happens is that when you have a new PC, you open Edge and you type into Bing, download Chrome, and Bing gives you like 15 million things in your way to keep you from downloading Chrome. Like there's the link for it is still in there, because if it wasn't, they would very easily get sued. But they're like, there's like a pop-up on the corner that's like, hey, Edge is just as good, and then there's another one like, hey, Google's bad, whatever.
Yeah,
like they're like on the fence of like what is anti. I mean, I think they're being anti-competitive now, but I think for now they could probably still make a solid legal defense that like they're not blocking the competition necessarily, but yeah, it's just gross. And again, now they're in this fun space where like they're doing advertising that like paints Chrome in a terrible light.
Well,
Like
they've been doing that for a long time.
they've been doing it for a long time, but now they're like actively using Chromium and contributing to it. So it's like you're helping them, and also like you're trying to shit on them. And I know like the helping part is just behind the scenes, really, but like you have to wonder like is, you know, at what point does the free development work on the Chromium engine to Google matter less than like Microsoft continuing to target them in advertising like this? Like at one point they're like, no, fuck off. We don't need you anymore. You go away.
Well, you know, I hate to bring back the tired old slogan, but embrace, extend, extinguish.
Ugh, I hate that, Cody.
Yeah, I genuinely do hate that, because it was honestly so dishonest about what actually was going on. But
and it just became a mantra for like those weird Linux people.
yeah,
Anytime Microsoft did something that wasn't just completely evil, like whenever like like whenever like a Visual Studio Code update would come out that was kind of cool, they're like, guys, don't use it, they're trying to extinguish us.
Yeah, the people who said that all the time sucked. But to be fair, every once in a while it was actually true, kind of.
Yeah. I mean, that's why it became like not a meme, but like that same vibe where like you just keep repeating it.
Yeah, a mantra.
So, yeah. I hate Microsoft.
So yeah, anyway, the fact that they're doing this does suck. By the way, quick hello to Morena Kano and to David Lama. Sorry, I would have said hi earlier, just kind of got sidetracked.
I'm gonna get water.
Okay. But yeah, this thing with sticking things in Edge, just this dedicated games panel, all I can think about this is it just feels like it's advertising, almost like they probably reached out to some of these companies and said, hey, if you will pay us like some amount to place you, then, you know, we'll stick you in this grid.
It's not. I just closed the tab, but I believe it was pulling.
Right now, it's a lot of Microsoft-made games. Plus,
it's pulling games from MSN. So again, it's the cross synergy going on
right now.
Yeah,
it won't be soon. Like this isn't gonna be all just Microsoft-made games, and I'm not even sure that all of these are from the screenshot.
No, it's just stuff that's like, I think the MSN games is like Facebook games, where it's just like a web thing that people can make and publish on there.
Okay.
But I don't know. Again, I'm not an old person, so I don't use MSN. I'm avoiding the B word to make Cody happy.
No, you're not.
I'm still gonna call Cody a bitch though.
Oh no, that's fun. But yeah, I'm just looking at this. I feel like this is just a short trip before they get to something worse. And like, I don't mean to be cynical, and I don't like hating on Microsoft because it feels like that was too much the popular thing to do. But I do feel like this is just one step before they do another one of those things, like popping up the browser saying, hey, you know, ours is better than Chrome, you should just use ours, or sticking ads into the file manager. Like, that was never okay, but someone at Microsoft convinced everyone else it was. You know,
I'm just the shocking thing to me isn't that they're making Edge worse, because they have more or less failed to make a good web browser in ever. I don't know if like maybe there was a point where Internet Explorer was like good for the time. If there was, I wasn't alive for it.
Oh no, I would solidly argue 1000%. There was a point in history where, and you can now say this about almost every major browser, where Internet Explorer was, by any objective measure, leagues better than Netscape. Netscape was a bloated, disastrous mess when Internet Explorer was like, no, seriously, we don't want to take all of your RAM. Like, we're just going to make a browser that's lightweight. It works really well. It was faster. It was smoother. It honestly was like, it crashed less. It was better at handling malformed HTML. Yeah, 100%. There was a point in time, and I was alive to see it, when Internet Explorer was actually genuinely the best web browser there was. And as history showed, they took it as far as they did for Internet Explorer 6 and just let it languish. It sat there and did nothing for, I don't know how many years it was, but too long. And then Firefox came along and kind of started stealing attention, and all of a sudden, wow, Chrome. For whatever reason, Chrome came along and just instantly skyrocketed. And yeah, that was the downfall of Internet Explorer.
Yeah, but it's the shocking part to me is just that within a matter of, because the new Edge has been in development for like 2-3 years now, because they were working on it for a while before it was officially announced, and then they rolled it out to Windows 10. And like for most of that time, like it was fine. Like they've been adding stuff ever since then. But like again, most of it is like, like Google was doing with Chrome, where it's like adjacent enough to a web browser that like it's fine. But just in the past like couple weeks, like they either got a new project manager, or the project manager was finally allowed to do what he wanted to do, and just flooded everything in here.
Yeah.
And it's just, yeah. As long as they don't let these people near Visual Studio Code, I guess it's fine. But I'm worried that's the end game here.
And for what it's worth, those are two very, very distant departments. So the odds of that ever happening are incredibly low. Not to say that the same thing won't happen in Visual Studio Code, but if it does, it will not be the same person. It will not have any connection.
It's just put a games panel in code.
I mean, who was it that actually did? It wasn't a games panel, but
yeah, I know. Someone once made like a Tinder clone as like a code plugin.
Well,
which was funny.
There was that, but where did I see this? There was somebody or some company in their IDE. They added a thing where you could like download like plugins to run inside the IDE, and some of the plugins that the company itself created were like games. And
well, you got to do something while you're compiling.
Oh my god, who was that? For a second I wanted to say it was Microsoft, but I know it wasn't. I wonder if that was IntelliJ.
IntelliJ does do some weird stuff, so maybe I'm gonna shut that door back there.
It could have been what is that? The thing that came before IntelliJ for Android development. I never remember the name of this anymore. I blocked it out. It doesn't matter, but that terrible, terrible thing that came before IntelliJ. I'm calling it IntelliJ, but everyone knows it as Android Studio, because that's the fork of IntelliJ that Google distributes. Anyway.
Yeah, I didn't really know how any of that worked until like 2 weeks ago when I had to write some of their announcements, and I was like, okay, what is IntelliJ? Turns out it's like 30 different things.
Yeah. I honestly had thought you'd known.
Devin said Eclipse.
Eclipse,
Is that what
yes,
you?
yes.
Yeah.
I could be
Oh
wrong.
yeah.
Maybe Eclipse
I
isn't
I
the one that
used
did it, but
I used Eclipse in high school. I did not like it.
it's the worst. Absolutely the worst. I cannot express how much I hate Eclipse.
Although I mostly hated it because I did not like Java. So that was
That's fair.
also part of it. I might have projected some of my hate for the language onto Eclipse unfairly,
No, it's
but
fair.
I didn't really like Java.
Legit, it's fair. Eclipse is terrible, and Java's pretty bad too.
But yeah, no, yeah, I haven't really used much of the IntelliJ stuff, but I was reading about it because after they announced their like essentially their Visual Studio Code a couple months ago, so I was reading about their stuff. But yeah, I mean, I've used Android Studio, which is that, but that's about it. I've never liked Java, and most of their stuff is for Java, so it's kind of just been another world I'm vaguely aware of.
Yeah.
And I was always using like basically slightly better text editors for all my dev stuff. Like before Code, I was using Atom, which was GitHub's editor before they got bought by Microsoft. And then before that, I was on a pirated copy of Sublime Text because that was before I had like a bank account and could buy things.
Honestly, Sublime Text is still my 100% favorite text editor.
It was pretty good, especially on Mac.
Yeah. Though it works exactly the same on Windows, so.
Yeah, that was when I was mostly Mac. So I don't remember if I ever used it on something else, but I mean, it always worked great. Never really had an issue with it.
Also, pirated copy, man. All they have in there is nagware. Technically, yes. Their license actually specifies you're not allowed to use it past so long, but it's literally just nagware every 10 cents.
That might have been it. I don't remember. I know I never paid for it, but I don't know if I just never registered it or like actually pirated. I don't remember, but yeah. But that was before I had money, so like I don't. Yeah.
No, 100%. That is actually like one of the things I'm very determined to do once I have a little bit better flowing money. I just so much want to buy Sublime Text.
Cody will stop breaking the law.
I'm not even. Well, I mean, I guess their license says you're not supposed to use it past that point, but
yeah,
they don't stop you. But yeah, I actually genuinely want to buy Sublime Text because I've used this thing so freaking much. I mean, I literally have it open right now with the dumb questions I'm going to ask you later. But in the meantime, we'll do a quick transition on.
Well, do we want to get to the questions somewhat soon, because we've been going for it's almost an hour at this point.
I mean, we can, because the other topics, to be fair, are sufficiently uninteresting. Though I did have a mildly clever segue about the fact that we were talking about Android development, and
there is some Android development going on.
Yes, there is some Android development going on Android 13, in fact, which is ostensibly known as Tiramisu. But since we're not really going to turn this into a topic, or if we are, it doesn't really matter, I'll just spin quickly through apps. We're going to have dedicated languages. Woohoo, no one cares except multilingual people, but good for them.
Yeah, I can barely speak English, so this is not a feature for me, much less any other languages.
Yeah, and legitimately, like, this is super, super cool for some people. Like, anyone who has WhatsApp installed and talks to people internationally, but also uses the phone in their native language a lot of the time, super makes sense. 100%.
Like, I know this has been like core functionality in keyboards for a long time, like virtual keyboards. Yeah, no, I'm sure that's cool. I mean, again, like, I know there's a reason why they put all this in there. It's not just the engineers going, this might be neat. I don't know if anyone does it, but I'll spend all this time to put it in.
Oh yeah. Let's see. There are also going to be runtime permissions for notifications, which, all right, depending on how granular this actually ends up being, that's kind of possibly cool, or it's possibly just going to turn into a minor nuisance.
I just really need Google to crack the whip and tell apps you need to put your advertisements on a different notification channel. That is
Technically,
like
that's already a thing. And if you catch an app doing it, you can report it, and sometimes the apps actually get banned for it. It has been known to happen.
Okay, I might need to report a couple apps then, because I think it was it might have been the Target app, where they have a switch in the app, not like the Android app settings, but like in the actual settings of the application, they have a toggle for advertisements, and I turned that off, and they kept sending me like advertisements. So thankfully, when I do a pickup order at Target, they also send me an email, so I could just block the notifications from that app entirely, and that solved my problem. But yeah, that's annoying. And I've seen other apps do that too, where they conveniently don't want to support channels for their notifications that I can turn off, but they still want to send me ads. Samsung, I'm looking at you. They really like doing that.
It's funny. That's immediately what I was thinking of, but yeah.
They're the worst offender. Them and LG, but we can't can't talk about LG anymore.
We can always pick on LG. But yeah, anyway, so let's see. I think, oh no, not quite the last thing. There's also something called TEAR, which stands for the Android Resource Economy. Basically, it's an energy efficiency feature. Not a lot to say there. And lock screen clock layouts. So apparently you will be able to pick locations for your clock to appear on the lock screen. So in other words, finally configurable lock screen, which I'm assuming that this is going to be a Pixel exclusive sort of thing, because other OEMs have been able to configure their lock screen in whatever way they decide.
This is, yeah. I mean, it wouldn't be an Android release if there wasn't one feature that everyone implemented 6 years ago.
Yeah.
So this is that one thing.
But yeah. Anyway, so yay, this stuff is happening, or not. Yeah, like I said, not much of a topic. Look at that. We got through it in almost record time, which leaves only that one last dumb topic that I talked about before. But, let's do 3 dumb questions.
Oh, I'm dumb and I can answer questions.
Well, good, because we're starting with... which one of these do I want to start with? Yeah, okay. We're actually going to start with this is so dumb. I love how dumb this is. If you are looking back through your photos that you have taken on your phone or whatever, and you discovered you're unknowingly photobombed by a celebrity and you hadn't realized it at the time, who would you want it to be?
So what is photobombed by a celebrity? Like I accidentally took a photo and a celebrity was in the background?
Yeah, like...
Okay.
This doesn't necessarily have to be a celebrity that intentionally photobombs you. It could just be like the random, like, oh, hey, they were walking by on the street and you just, like, they didn't know you were taking a picture, but you happened to catch them. It could be that, but more than likely, I'm thinking... celebrity saw you were about to take a picture and was like, yo, I'm getting in there. And
right,
you go looking and there's the rabbit ears, or maybe he's, dabbing, or I don't know, whatever.
Well, I don't know. I guess just like anyone from any Star Trek would be kind of fun. Like that'd just be a fun like Twitter picture. Like you go tap on my profile. It's like, oh wait, who's that in the background? Is that Jonathan Frakes just in your picture, Corbin?
Okay, I get
Just
that.
something fun.
See now.
Now you're gonna name someone I've never heard of because I'm stupid.
No, I honestly like. I think. Okay, now, the most epic answer to this is to name something a little bit ridiculous, which I think the best answer would probably be Elvis Presley or John Candy. You know, anyone who's actually dead. I kind of would just want that to be the photobomb.
Yeah, they're just miraculously alive, but the only evidence is this one photo.
Oh, Tupac. That's perfect.
Yeah.
I want Tupac to photobomb me. Okay, so obviously that being ridiculous. I think actually, I think the best answer, Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah,
because I feel like I can't explain why, but I just think that's gonna have that level of it, like kind of automatically cool, but it's not so cool that he wouldn't photobomb you.
Yeah, he seems like the kind of person that do like a stupid face.
Yeah.
Or who was it? There was someone in the Marvel movies where I don't know if it was Marvel.
Probably
but
Chris Hemsworth, because if I recall, he actually loves photobombing people.
There was one person, I feel like it's someone in the Marvel movies who, like, anytime someone was like moving the camera around for like a behind the scenes something, he would just like do the middle finger at them. I can't remember who it was.
I mean, again, I'm kind of thinking Chris Hemsworth. I'd never heard of this, but it just sounds like him. Huh.
I don't know who it was.
Well, these days it could be Scarlett Johansson, but
yeah, I don't know. But okay.
All right. So, okay, going to something a little bit, like kind of similar, but a little bit of a kind of a departure, getting a little bit more back into our world. Name your favorite tech company employee. This doesn't have to be an executive, though it probably will be. Just any person that works at a tech company that whoever you love most. You enjoy seeing their stuff. Maybe they're entertaining, maybe they're smart, maybe they put out an open source thing that you love. Just whoever your favorite person is that works at a tech company.
See, this is the issue where, like, I also couldn't name most of the directors of the movies I like. Like, I'm just completely incapable of knowing people's names. So I don't actually know. I guess I would pick like the main people at Google who work on like web APIs, because it's something I benefit from and it's fun. But I have and like I know a couple like friends who work at tech companies. I could also just name them. I don't really know what all of them do over there, but I know they're there.
I mean, yeah, that's fair. You could probably, I'd almost say you could just legitimately name one of them.
Well, shout out to my boy Evan then. I think he works on Azure. I don't know what he does at Azure, but I'm sure he does it very well, and I'm proud of him. That's it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You think I would pick a CEO, Cody?
Never. Well, you never know. There was some chance that you might just pop up and be like the CEO of Mozilla or something.
Yeah. I don't suppose like Linus Torvalds is like the CEO of something. I think he's just like the ringleader.
Linux god.
Oh. Yeah. Linus is pretty cool. I like when because he you know, he's always been, you know, obviously he made Linux, that's cool. But also he just seems like a cool person in general. like the amount of times he's like publicly told Nvidia to fuck off because they won't support anything is great. He did. I remember in the news cycle, I think last year, there was someone on one of the Linux mailing lists that was like, I don't know how it came up, but there was something about like anti-vax stuff, and Linus just went on a tirade in this Linux mailing list, like, "You're such an idiot! Get out of here! Go be stupid somewhere else." And I was like, "This man's incredible."
Yeah, that's fair.
So I guess, sure, Linus.
Okay.
Sorry, Evan.
Evan, you have to take a backseat to one of the internet's most famous software developers.
Evan, step it up.
I think he's okay with this. I don't know him really, but I think he's okay with this. Okay, so I gotta give number one to good old Chet Haas. He's a developer at Google, notoriously basically a comedian, basically the guy who is like the host or MC of pretty much anything during Google I/O that is not the keynote. And even a couple times during the keynote, he basically just runs like a quarter of the show. The guy very notably wrote the infamous Androids book, which has something resembling the history of Android, in various stories told. I actually still need to read that. I feel bad I haven't read that yet.
Yeah, that should go on my list. I need to make a concerted effort to read more, because I have been collecting books that I want to read, and I just like forget my Nook is over there. So,
little tangent off of that. It always bugs me a little bit when I hear bloggers, us, say that we need to read more. Because, oh my God, seriously, we are the people who read thousands and thousands and thousands of words a day. So many thousands of words a day. It, like, our entire day is reading. And when we say we need to read more, it just feels... It feels almost disingenuous, but at the same time, I know what you mean. We all know what we mean, but it's like, it feels weird because I know we are some of the most informed people. We read tons and tons of stuff, but like, we don't give ourselves credit for it, or rather, other people don't give us credit for it. I've literally had someone tell me that I must be dumb because I haven't read a book in years. And it's like, yeah, because I read so many articles.
You have read the Android developer documentation. That's basically a poorly written book. So,
poorly written doesn't begin to cover it, but yeah. Though these days it is better. Like, I don't want to crap on it anymore, because it actually has gotten much, much better.
I read books the same way I consume movies, which is I barely ever watch anything new, and I watch the same 10 like over and over again. Like, I have time to reread the Space Odyssey series. gonna go through Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy again. All right, that's it, I'm good. That's my reading for the year.
I mean, I've seen your movie night schedule. No kidding.
Most of the movies on there are ones I have not seen before, so that's also a purpose of that.
And how is it you still haven't seen Fifth Element?
It's on the list, Cody. I think it's next month.
You're never gonna get to it.
I am gonna get to it. I won't move it again.
Well, next month means 2022, and you and I both know this isn't even past 2020.
Yeah, you've been bullying me about this for a long time. I understand that. I'll get to it.
Okay. In 2022, so like 7 years from now.
Yeah, I was getting messed up last week, because when I was trying to write the article about the CES dropouts, I briefly started rewriting it to be about how CES was canceled, because I found an article that it was canceled because it said 2021. And also screwed me up because I think someone at the BBC was also confused because I was going through the tweets for just CES on Twitter, like I put that in the search bar, and the BBC tweeted their story about the 2021 cancellation, like while like last week basically. So that was probably one of the that was why I was confused. But also I can't read, so I won't put the full name on them there. But
yeah, but legitimately, that actually has screwed me up, and I saw somebody else get screwed up by the exact same thing.
Yeah,
that really
like
does suck.
Yeah, and like every time I've written already a bunch of embargo announcements for next week, and every time I put in the time on the date picker, I have to like make sure I pick the year first, because if I do the month and the day and forget to change the year for whatever reason, then it's like, it'll go live as soon as I save this, but it'll just be a year in the past. So that's fun.
Yeah. So just randomly, I saw GitHub was trending on Twitter, and I'm looking. I can't figure out what for.
Oh yeah, I've got that too. I think it just finds, like, it tries to figure out words you like and it just puts them there.
Which actually is kind of creepy in a way, because by some coincidence, I was actually doing or looking up a lot of stuff with GitHub earlier today, and in part because I just, if you want to call it open sourced, I just decided to share a script that I've been using for years for taking fast screenshots over ADB. Super useful little command line script. I love the hell out of it. So I added a little bit, kind of cleaned it up, and decided to share it. So if anyone finds themselves in need of taking tons of screenshots and doesn't mind connecting their computer to a phone, go find that script. It will save you maybe minutes.
That might be a fun project for me with to write in Dart, now that I think about it. Like, I know there's like a million solutions for this already, but I would want to make it.
But why in okay.
Well, just, so it runs natively. And I found, while I was looking for other things, I found there's some neat like UI framework libraries for Dart that aren't like Flutter. So I could make it in Flutter, but it could also be something else. So
the thing is, though, this is just a bash script.
Yeah.
Like, it will run natively basically anywhere now.
Yeah, I know. But I always need new projects, Cody. I can't shut my brain off. It has to keep making bad things no one will ever use.
Well, there's that. That being said, I gotta admit, I have thought a few times about making a UI for this functionality. I never got around to it. I never cared enough, and for a few reasons. But I actually wouldn't mind making something that is really not much more than just a window that pops up with like 2 or 3 buttons, and you just click one to take a screenshot, and that's it. Like, as stupidly simple as it can get. I may do that, or I may not. I'd be perfectly happy never doing it. Yeah, I'm scrolling Twitter, and
I don't think anything happened. It's just people saying the word GitHub.
And yeah, it's not even that many that are current. Like, a lot of this stuff is from days ago, but okay, it's weird.
Twitter be wildin'.
Yeah, so anyway, continuing on, and this one could almost maybe be a wish list item. I don't know, we'll see. New question: what is one market or product that, let's say, Google or Apple or Microsoft isn't currently doing, but you want them to be? Pick a company and your product or market.
Uh, there's a lot of these. I'm thinking. I would love literally anyone to make a good ARM laptop that isn't Apple.
I was gonna say,
Just anyone. I don't. Someone make it and make it like vaguely a PC, so someone will get Linux on it. That would be one. I still really want a Google Glass like device, but I don't know at this point if I want Google to make it, because beyond the like, oh, they're gonna shut it down or whatever nonsense, like I just don't want more devices in my life with critical services tied to Google. Like that's kind of why I was like, on the whole on Samsung's transition to Wear OS. So like, okay, great, we're back to relying on Google for everything. I've got another thing that's probably syncing my steps to some database I'll never know about. So I don't know if I want Google to do it, but I don't really know who would like be better at that isn't worse. This is kind of the same situation we kept going back to when we were talking about like I forget what the discussion was, but it was like who would be a good caretaker of like Chromium. And it's like, well, I trust literally no one to do that. So I don't know what the solution here is, but I don't know, maybe something that's like a little bit more open and people can make fun projects with. I just know like there's been a lot of cases, especially with how like smartwatches are being used, that would be a lot better if I didn't have to look down all the time, or look down at a phone, look down at my watch, whatever, and it could just be right there. So I'd like someone to try that again. Ideally get to like some navigation going, maybe some cool stuff where I'm like driving my car and I can have like some more heads up stuff, but like there, instead of looking over to my Android Auto or whatever. Not that that's really a safety issue, but maybe you could put more stuff there or something. So I guess anyone who wants to make an AR headset, and anyone who wants to make a PC ARM laptop that you can put Linux on. I guess that would be my two. Because again, like if I'm thinking of like tech companies, I want to make something. Like I already like get a sinking feeling in my stomach with when I think about how many like products I own from a lot of these companies that have really bad privacy and security records. I'm not like super jazzed to buy like a Chromebook or something, or like I was looking at to like the past couple of days, like a couple of things with Alexa have come up that like would be easier to test if I had an Alexa speaker. And I know Echoes are like $20, but just the idea of buying one of those things like gives me anxiety. Like,
yeah, that's pretty fair.
I don't want to give Jeff Bezos money, and I also don't want this thing on my Wi-Fi network. So what do I do? It's like, I don't, yeah. So I don't know. I'd like some kind of AR headset that's like people could do fun stuff with. I guess that would be on my thing, because it doesn't really exist right now.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Microsoft has HoloLens, but
I don't think I would prefer something like Google Glass, where it's like mostly non-interactive, I think. Because HoloLens was also like huge. Like that's an entire helmet you're wearing.
Yeah.
Whereas it would just be cool to have like a little display here in the corner of my eye that tells me stuff in real time.
Yeah, which I know I probably bang on this drum a little too much, but just as a formal note, not technically, Google Glass was never AR. It was just a heads-up display.
Right.
AR would imply that it's somehow related to what it's actually seeing and augmenting what you're seeing, whereas VR is, of course, just taking over your entire visual, no questions asked. then the heads-up display is just an additive thing.
So that would probably be my other one. Is like I want someone to make a dedicated VR headset, like a self-contained headset that is not Facebook.
Yes. Honestly,
but like again, like the short list, like it's basically just Google and Apple that could do that, and so maybe Nintendo, but I don't know.
Okay, I will. I'll actually hypothesize Sony. I think Sony could do that because they already have probably the best not Oculus VR headset. Well, sorry, the best one that is a gaming headset that is exclusively for gaming, that is not Oculus or Vive. I don't want to rule out Vive as a thing, but let's be honest, at this point, HTC doesn't have the money or the influence to make that happen. If someone bought Vive and decided to push it forward, it could be huge, but I don't think that's going to happen. So I think the next best and most likely company is Sony, because I don't think Microsoft is going to do this. They could, and it would make sense to do it on the Xbox brand, but it just doesn't seem like them. Sony, on the other hand, they could. I definitely see that a possibility there. And man, part of me really wishes Sony would actually just buy Vive. I don't think they would. Like, it doesn't make sense for them to do that, but it would be kind of the nice solution.
Yeah, I mean, I get, like, because the Oculus is like the perfect VR device, because like my thing is like I've had a VR. I just gave my VR headset to my brother like a month ago because he was like, "Are you using it?" Because I would like it. I'm like, I'm not really using it. But like my big thing with that is that it's just so much setup, and that not even just like having a cable that goes to your computer, but like the fact that like, you know, you have to get your PC ready. They have to reach behind my PC and plug the HDMI cable in. I know some cases have them on like the top now just for this, but you know, mine doesn't. And then, you know, you have to get the VR environment up, and then you have to, you know, go to open Steam and open the game. And then it's like, are my controllers, like, because again, I haven't touched this in a month. Are the batteries in the controllers working? Oh, there's an update for something. It's just the PC tethered VR experience is not for me. I think if I had, you know, if I had like an entire room for that, sure, but I don't.
I feel like it's funny you describe all this stuff, because I'm just thinking about how much this is like FPV drones right now. Because it's setting up for an FPV flight is awful. The steps you have to go through, the multiple different things you're attaching. Like when you're an FPV flyer, you have like literally multiple cables hanging down across your body because everything needs to be connected. Yeah, I don't know. It's not a great experience. And yeah, VR is in that same unfortunate place.
Yeah, and then I also just wasn't a huge fan of the headset I had, so that was another issue. It wasn't designed very well.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say any of them have been, though. Oculus Go is probably the best.
Yeah. So again, if you know, it pains me that Google was literally doing exactly what Oculus was doing like 4 years ago, but they just stopped.
You mean with Daydream?
Yeah. Like there was like a dedicated, like they made one dedicated Daydream headset that was fully self-contained, and that was it. Like they never even really sold that. And like before they killed off Daydream, I remember they were working on like more degrees of motion. They were working on like AR core stuff, like on top of the VR display. Like the headset they made had like cameras roughly where the eyes were, so it could do like pass through, and they were doing AR stuff on top of that video feed. So like they were working on some really cool stuff, and then it just stopped.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's frustrating. Again, not that like, again, I'm not jumping out of my desk to go buy another Google product that's probably locked down, but like, I would at least probably buy that. I'm not buying anything. I'm not buying any hardware Facebook makes.
Yeah, right. No kidding. So, okay, my thing, and you're probably gonna maybe facepalm a little bit when I bring this up, because it's the thing we've talked about a million times. Google and Apple, please, dedicated cameras, boys, dedicated cameras. Give me the ability to use your software on a dedicated camera. I want interchangeable lenses. Work with some company. I don't care who. Partner with Sony. Partner with Canon, Nikon. If you really just don't know what else to do, you partner with somebody. Use their glass. Put your software on a full-size camera, please.
Well, this is the eternal RambleCast topic, isn't it? Why is there no Android DSLRs or mirrorless cameras? So I think if it does happen, I think we have to stop these, because then we'll reach the end of the plot line.
Yeah, I will know someone has heard my cries. The thing is, there are companies that are sort of trying it, but they're half-assing it, or they themselves are just not really suited, qualified, whatever, to do this. I mean, Zeiss made a $6,000 camera with a fixed lens, and it's a fixed prime lens even. What the fuck were they thinking? But God, $6,000 with a fixed prime lens, insanity. But yeah, there was that. There's a Chinese company that Yongyo, wait, was it Yongyo? Yeah, Yongyo was doing it. They've now,
I remember the product, I don't remember the name.
I don't remember the model number, but yeah, it was definitely Yongyo. Which, if I remember, is spelled YONGNUO, I think. Anyway, they have now released a second model that runs Android, and I've asked them now a couple of times, hey, could you send review units, please? I'm begging you. I really want to check this out. And they keep saying, yeah, we're not really aiming for the US, but thanks for your interest. We'll let you know if anything changes.
Yeah. I would pay not a stupid amount of money, but like an inadvisable amount of money for a camera like that was open like that, where I could, load my own software. Because like I'm thinking, like, I would mostly use it like just the ability to take a photo in like RAW and it just show up in my Lightroom library automatically would be really cool. And like the Lightroom Android app could do that. But also, I don't want it just Lightroom, because at some point I might decide I don't want to use that anymore and I'll switch to something else.
Yes.
But like if it's open, I can just do what I can write my own apps.
Yeah.
So,
And that's a big part of it for me. I want to be able to write my own app so that when I take a photo, I can, I want to build an app that will handle syncing for me. I mean, obviously I could just use a Dropbox or Google Photos or something like that, but I'd also like to be able to walk inside my house, maybe tap a button or two if need be, but I want an app that's going to go through all the new photos and just upload them directly to a server, like a NAS server or my computer, anything that I could realistically make a connection to. I could write an app that just does that. It's not that big a deal. It would be pretty easy. And right now, like, you can buy $3,000, $4,000 cameras. You can't do that with them. It's not an option. You can't. It doesn't matter it doesn't matter if you're a developer. It doesn't matter what you know, what you can do. You cannot do these basic automation steps or create something that could do them. It's not an option. That infuriates me. It's such a simple thing, but I hate pulling an SD card out of my camera and plugging that in. In fact, I never do that. I plug my camera in by USB-C and transfer over that. But give me this basic thing. I don't feel like this is asking a lot.
It is so weird that like cameras, again, they're like that class of specialized device where at a certain point it just does not keep up with the times, right? It's like constantly on the verge of fitting in with your current technology, right? Like it took like Sony ages to adopt USB-C because like at a certain point, like if you don't have it, it's like a major inconvenience. Like that kind of stuff. Well, not USB-C specifically, but stuff like that where it's like, okay, I need this to like connect to a computer still. Like it has to be up to date enough to do that. But like there's so many specialized devices that are like that where the actual usability, it feels like something that was made a decade ago.
Yeah.
Because like they don't need to, like what are you going to use instead?
Exactly. And also to add to it, I like the idea of, and I know that this is asking maybe a step too much, possibly, but I love the idea of having apps that can like automate other parts of your camera. One of the things that's really, really common with like macro photography, though it gets used a lot in landscapes and things like that, it's a thing called focus racking. Basically, you start with your focus either as far out as possible or as close as possible, and then you just adjust it by small amounts and take a new picture. And you keep doing this because you get different points in view, in focus, and it allows you to, in theory, get an entire image in focus but take it with a completely open aperture, which anyone who actually shoots manual knows what that means. Anyone who doesn't is hearing that and going, what? But yeah, this is an incredibly useful thing in some things. You know how hard that is to do on some cameras? Borderline impossible. Like you can focus rack, some cameras will let you maybe focus rack like 3 different sections. Most of them make you just physically refocus yourself. Yet almost every camera has electronic focus. So, or rather almost every lens has electronic focus. Every camera now has electronic focus. I could write an app in like 20 minutes that's press a couple buttons and it would just roll through the different focus distances and done. It wouldn't be that hard. I want that. Why can I not have that? So, and you know, there are other types of racking. You can rack by exposure, shutter speed, different things. There's so many things that could be useful in that. I just want to make apps that would do this. I don't think it's asking a lot.
Yeah, again, I would buy that. Like I've still got the same camera I bought originally for work, my A5000, because it's fine. And there's like, you know, if I was doing video work, sure, I could buy something that would be a huge upgrade, but like it still takes pictures exactly as fine as it did 4 years ago. It's fine.
Yeah.
Like, what am I gonna? And again, like, there's not a significant functionality improvement for me because it's not expandable like that. But I would pre-order a Sony camera with full Android.
Yeah.
Just because, and I would use it a lot more because again, that's one of the things. Like, I don't really use that camera except when I have to, because it's such a pain to get the photos off. I either need to carry around a micro USB to Type-C cable with me, or I need to install Sony's god-awful Wi-Fi transfer application that works sometimes. and it's frustrating.
Or you could just pop out the memory card.
But I don't have anything with an SD card slot. Like I think, well, my laptop has micro SD, so I would need to. Yeah, it's not a full size; it's just micro.
Who the hell ships a laptop with micro?
Okay, well, here's the thing. So
what?
Basically, every Chromebook is like this. Like they have just micro SD. But I don't have a Chromebook; it's a Dell XPS.
What?
So yeah. So if I wanted to do that,
fired.
Yeah.
Look, don't get me wrong. I am one of those people who adamantly says I don't care about having a SD slot in a computer. I was totally okay with it when Apple took it out of the MacBook Pros. I was like, yeah, okay, I'm fine with that. And I know a lot of people wanted it back, which is why it got added back. I mean, MKBHD did a whole freaking video basically praising that decision. Technically, it was about all the decisions, but he really focused on that. I'm okay with them not having it. But here's the thing. If you're going to not have it, like if you're not going to have the big port, don't put in the little one. That is so dumb.
Yeah, I don't know. And then of course, like, you know, I don't have a phone anymore that has a SD card slot. So like if I'm out and about, my options are plug the camera in or bring an adapter with me, which I would need two because I don't have a USB-C to SD card adapter. I have a SD to USB-A. So again, I'm bringing two dongles with me.
Mm-hmm.
So, but again, if it was just Android, this wouldn't be an issue. I could just, you know, post my nice picture I just took from the camera or have it sync to something else in like a single second.
Yeah, it's so much easier.
Yeah. And again, like I feel like you'd be able to make so much money with this because it'd probably be really easy to sell like a 5G data plan for one of those.
Oh God, yes.
Like imagine like just I'm even just thinking about like all the companies that would pay like for their, you know, for everyone employed to have one of those cameras with the data plan just because it speeds up everything.
Yeah.
Like I don't like this seems like about as easy of a sell as like any like 5G iPad or like those or you know, I almost said the Snapdragon Windows laptops because they're the same five, but no one wants those. But people still buy those, the tablets and Chromebooks and stuff with LTE and 5G. So it's the same kind of thing. Like you just want the thing that's always connected to the internet, and there's a market that will pay too much money for that.
Speaking of, I don't even want this for myself. I honestly want this just like out of you know, spiritual generosity. I want this for other people. Apple MacBook Pros with a cellular connection. What the hell? You can sell a laptop that it like priced at $4,000+, but you can't put a cellular radio in there.
I really thought that would be like the next upgrade after they do the initial switch to M1. Because like that's presumably one of the main benefits to this whole thing is that now you have something that can always be running and not use a ton of battery life and be always connected. Like that's like the entire selling point for the Snapdragon Windows laptops because they're crap at everything else, but they can stay connected to a cellular network 24/7. Mm-hmm. So it is kind of weird that they didn't do that for the Pro, because that was like their second attempt at an M1 machine. But I don't know. I guess they have to leave something for next year, right? That's how this works.
I guess.
You know, it's like Nvidia, where like supposedly they had like 5 years of GTX card improvements planned out ages ago, and they just, you know, they do one every year.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I can't come up with a good explanation or a good logical reason Apple hasn't done this yet. Because, like you said, you know, people would pay a lot for this. You know people want it. What rational argument is there for not putting out a thing? You could probably charge just like out of the gate, you could probably charge $200 or $300 extra for the laptop itself. You're already making a big profit on every one that you sell.
Yeah.
Not only that, but Apple would obviously also just sell the plans, or, you know, market the plans in some way, shape, or form, which other people are going to come along and say, oh yeah, okay, we'll buy that. And then Apple gets the referral fee out of it too. That's huge money. What?
That would, can you, man, I feel like that would make so much money for Google Fi.
Yeah.
Young people would switch to Google Fi for like, oh cool, here's a data sim for my MacBook.
Oh yeah. Oh man, Google would be all over that marketing. Yeah.
Come on, Sony, get with it. Come on. I don't know what else I need to do to convince you of this. But make it PlayStation branded or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how that would work. It would just make them more money, probably. Here, guys, get the PlayStation camera.
What company doesn't need more money?
I know. This is so easy. I should be the CEO of Sony. I know what I'm doing.
At this point, I kind of feel like a lot of people should be the CEO of Sony. I can never figure out what the hell Sony's got going on.
No.
I love some of the company's products. I hate some of the company's products, but man, so many of the decisions that company just, like, you'd think somebody by now would be mad at a couple of their divisions. Who is not coming along looking at the division of Sony that makes smartphones and going, okay, wait a second, we haven't fired you guys yet?
Yeah, it's like, I left you guys alone for way too long here. You did something wrong here.
How?
You were unsupervised for too long. That's my fault. I need to address this now.
Yeah, like, who is not looking at the profit report from the smartphone division and going, like, someone has to look at that, right? I mean, it's always in their quarterly earnings where they have to kind of admit, no, we didn't make any money. Like,
see, this is what makes the subplot of so many movies and games believable. Like the ones that do there's so many movies and games like this where the plot revolves around like this company or this government organization that just has a division that like talks to nobody and like completely does its own thing, and no one knows what goes on there.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I guess kind of like SHIELD, like in the Marvel movies, like they're just kind of doing their own thing. Like, you know, no one really knows what's going on over there. Or like the UAC in the Doom games. Like there's always like that one division that's just fucking around with hell portals, and it's just like, all right, you guys have fun with that.
Hell portals. Who doesn't need a good hell portal in their R&D department?
Yeah, I mean, where else are you gonna throw the where else are you gonna get the recycling from?
I'm just gonna say it. Show of hands, who doesn't think Facebook isn't experimenting with hell portals? I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I just saying. Kind of think somewhere deep inside.
That's where they get the souls for Zuckerberg to consume, because you can get them cheap there.
Yeah. Let's be honest. It was their experimentation with hell portals that led to Facebook temporarily being down for like half a day and locking themselves out of their own data center.
Yeah. They opened the portal to hell in the data center.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's actually what that data center does. It's not even a data center. Yeah. They just
the smoke screen.
Yep. The underground basement. That's what's really down there. Is a hell portal.
It looks like a server rack, and then you like jiggle like one little knob, and it opens like a secret bookcase.
Yep. And you walk down, and there's the Stargate.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh God. Um,
I keep trying to watch Stargate. It's so boring.
the movie or the show?
The show.
I've never watched the show.
I've been told. Okay, so I know there's like a couple shows. Like the main one is that SG-1.
Yeah.
I've been told the latter seasons of SG-1 are really good, but like once or twice I've tried to power through the first couple seasons just so I get as much context. It's so boring. It's just Star Trek, but there aren't any cool ships because they just walk through the portal.
Yep.
And all the aliens are just people that got like teleported from Earth at random times in history. That's it. That's the entire plot. Because it's like, oh boy, we're going to the Aztec planet.
Dude,
where all the people are who we're going to the Aztec planet where all the inhabitants were just Aztecs that got like picked up from Earth and just never evolved ever. That's every planet.
I legitimately did not, no joke, I legitimately did not know that. I honestly thought that the premise was kind of what they gave away in the movie, which was that people on Earth may have come from somewhere else, and
yeah, there's some like actual alien races, like the main bad guys. I forget what they're called, but like the Egyptian themed ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, like a lot of it is just, at least in the early seasons I watched, a lot of it is either humans that were like slaves to some alien race and just got left somewhere, which has happened in Star Trek a lot too. So I won't, Star Trek does that too. Or it's like an alien with just, at least with Star Trek, most of the aliens, like they at least give them like a funny looking forehead or something. But SG-1 is just like, nah, you just look like normal people, but we found some really fucking weird costumes out back we're gonna make you wear.
Nice. Oh yeah. No, Stargate has always been on my list of shows that I wanted to watch and I knew I would never get around to.
And also that's one of the shows where like there's like a not insignificant number of Star Trek actors that also show up in that show occasionally, so I also want to watch it for that, but it's so difficult. It's so boring. I've been told the later seasons are somewhat enjoyable. I'll get to eventually.
And I know I heard at some point that Atlantis wasn't bad. I don't know anything.
That was the other main show.
And isn't there a third? I swear
there
was a third.
I know they did one show somewhat recently. That was like, I think it was a prequel or something, but yeah.
Oh
yeah.
What? Wow. Okay, so I just searched Stargate TV series in order, and apparently the correct order, if you want to watch stuff in chronological order, is the movie, Stargate Origins, Stargate SG-1, basically all the way through, but starting with seasons 8, you then watch Atlantis side by side with it. Then there's Stargate The Ark of Truth, then Stargate Continuum, then the rest of Atlantis, and finally Stargate Universe.
Okay, Universe is like the other like main show. I think those other ones are like mini series, like they basically movies. Yeah, but yeah, Universe. I think that was the last like main one. Origins, I think, is that prequel one that was kind of recent. But,
I did not realize. I knew Stargate had some extra side content. I didn't realize it was that much, and for that matter, I didn't realize SG-1 had gone 10 seasons.
Yeah.
Holy crap! Is it?
Yeah, that's it. That's the other one where it's like, I'm sure the later seasons are better because it went on for so long. Which actually is the thing with Star Trek too. Like basically all the old Star Trek shows, like first season is total garbage, like in all of them. And then they eventually figure out like how to write for the actors they got, and then it gets good.
Yeah.
And it's so surprising because you think that'd be such a difficult concept to make a boring show from. Like there's just these portals that go to like a random planet. You're telling me that's boring? I don't believe it. Yet it is.
I'd just like to point out, they got it, like every Star Trek series has basically gotten it wrong. Stargate got it wrong. And in some of these cases, they went multiple seasons and could not get it right. Or at least it took them several seasons to get it right. In some cases, they have had epically amazing actors. Picard jumps out at me. Meanwhile, Joss Whedon can't even get a full season of Firefly out there. And it is freaking amazing from the get. Like, episode 1, it's already a good show. Halfway through its first season, and it's amazing. Like, the show didn't even get to finish airing, and it was better than what most people had ever seen. Come on, you're telling me no one else could do that? Or you're...
But it's not quite the same thing, but it reminds me of I had one show when I was young like this was my first experience with like the shows that like get canceled while I really like them, which was Invader Zim on Nickelodeon. That was one show where it got canceled because Nick kept putting it during the time slots when like young kids hadn't gone to bed yet, and they had episodes where Zim is like stealing human organs. So parents complained, I guess rightfully so, but still. like they just have like SpongeBob, and then they'd be like, up next, Invader Zim, does this horrific thing.
Okay, you say that, but I feel like pointing out The Simpsons.
Oh yeah, 90s Nick was something.
I remember growing up, and it was just, I always heard about stuff that went on The Simpsons, and it like I couldn't watch it because I didn't have the channel. It had nothing to do with like parental prevention. It was just straight up I didn't have that channel. But like the stories I would hear of what happened kind of blew my mind. Like, this is a thing that's a cartoon, B, they're allowed to air during times kids are on. Like, kids are up. This doesn't track to me. And I had a little bit of that same feeling when the Family Guy series kind of caught on.
Yeah. But yeah, Zim was my first exposure to that, where it's like, oh wait, this show's really good, and it got canceled, and then Nick did the fun thing where like they didn't air the episodes they finished until like 2 years later. They're like, oh, we found these in our vault. Let's put them on TV.
Yeah, the good old vault.
Yeah.
Oh.
But then they made that movie for Netflix, and that was really good. Yeah, Stargate's so boring.
Oh, what was the... I don't know that I'm gonna have any luck trying to figure out what the show was, but there was a show on... I am like 95% certain it was on Fox. It was canceled.
Oh, so it was an animated show that was canceled after one season.
No, this was definitely live action. But I think this was like one of the earliest examples of Fox canceling a show that probably would have been very successful if they just let it keep going. And the concept of this show, it was think of Knight Rider, but not like the car wasn't smart so much as it was just kitted out with cool stuff. They actually had this effect where the outside of the car could like flip little hexagons and it put a different skin on the outside, and so it could change its colors, and it could present like a bulletproof, like almost liquid metal looking outside.
Are you describing Inspector Gadget Cody?
No. But not far from it. Oh man, I have no idea how I would even find this. It was an old show. But it was weirdly good, and it had the typical. If I remember this, the guy who invented the car, I think it was if I remember, for some reason I remember him being black, and he was in a wheelchair, because every show like this always had to have somebody in a wheelchair. Like, that is just default. You have to have a smart person in a wheelchair. They invent the cool stuff. That's just how it works. Like, that was also a thing with the show Birds of Prey, which most people probably have never seen that, but it's basically the same characters from the Harley Quinn movie from I guess early 2020. But like, the show was honestly better. The movie sucked. I know some people love it. That movie sucked. It had like 2 good scenes. If I didn't just lose some people on that, I don't know what would. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah. Well, yeah, well, I guess I should go now because my body's shutting down. So yeah.
All right, well, fine. I get that.
Yeah. Well, it's either I leave now or I pivot the discussion to Star Trek, and I know neither of us wants that. So.
The thing is, you would pretty much be talking by yourself. All I could talk about is Next Generation, because I guess I could talk movies.
Yeah.
But
this movie's pretty good.
Yeah, pretty much.
I wish they'd show up in theaters more often. I had a lot of fun seeing The Voyage Home in theaters and having people besides me laughing when Scotty, holds up the computer mouse and talks to it. Great movie.
Wait. Hold on.
Voyage Home is the one with the whales.
Oh, okay. For some reason, I think of Voyage Home as being number 6. But you're talking about number 4. I know them by numbers better than titles.
Okay.
But yeah, Voyage Home I do think is the best by far.
It's fun. It's a fun movie.
Well, it was the first Star Trek movie that was basically done with the comedy cadence of a Marvel movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, every other line was actually a joke.
Yeah.
Plus, of course, just it was the first one that they didn't just rely on being in space. They actually got to enjoy just being on Earth, making the most of being on Earth. That was...
Yeah. And the Enterprise didn't blow up. Which is like half the movies the Enterprise gets blown up.
Yeah.
It's probably actually half. Because I know it happens in Generations. It happens in... it happens in one of the other TNG movies I remember. In Nemesis they do ram the Enterprise into another ship, but it doesn't blow up, so maybe that counts. Blows up in Star Trek Beyond. It's a lot of ships being blown up. You know the Federation's like, are you guys kidding? We're gonna run out of letters for this ship, guys. You gotta keep it together.
I mean, technically, yeah. They actually were in danger of running out of letters, because as this webpage I just found says, the Enterprise would ultimately end up being destroyed 18 times before the crew was able to navigate out of it. Oh wait, that's got to be that time.
Probably.
Yeah, that.
And there's a lot of Enterprises that like they show for like half a second as like an Easter egg whenever someone goes into the future.
Yeah.
So those don't really count.
I mean, do they or don't they? I don't know.
Well, we don't know how they got built. We don't know if the one before that got blown up.
Well, and it also
might have just got old.
Yeah, but it also kind of feels broken because you have to count in the Kelvin timeline, which, does that reset the count?
No, I think it just adds. If we're just counting times the ship gets blown up on a screen, I'm counting that.
Yeah, that's what I would count too. I'm just saying, like, I'm sure somebody out there wants to argue that one. Okay, so this post on Screen Rant, sister site to Android Police, this was posted in March of this year, and it says that the USS Enterprise has been destroyed 9 times.
Nice.
So, I mean, not in danger of running out of letters, but seeing as, they also hopscotched a couple letters in there.
That does seem like an unusually high number of times you would show people.
At this point, you don't name something Enterprise anymore.
At this point, I would put in, like, protected circuits on the bridge, so whenever the ship gets shot, no one flies away from the panels anymore. And so I would put in seatbelts also. They need to do that next.
Yes.
They did do that, and I think Into Darkness, there's a bit where they sit back and they have the Marvel seatbelts come across. I was like, oh good, they finally did it. They should have done that 40 years ago.
It really would have made a lot more sense.
Would have saved a lot of lives.
Yeah, so at this point, have they considered that ships named the Enterprise are basically the red shirts? Yeah. Like, no other ship gets destroyed as much as this. It's not like they have the Voyager Z. Eventually
they'll just make it a drone ship. No one's allowed on it.
But then it'll just get taken over and it'll start stealing people. That'll be the plot line. It'll actually literally start transporting people off of other ships so that it can man itself, and then it will somehow get destroyed.
Yeah, it's cursed.
Yeah, this is the fate of the Enterprises.
My favorite Star Trek thing with the Enterprise is that the first space shuttle was called the Enterprise. I think they were going to call it something else, but then all the Star Trek nerds they really wanted it to happen, so they named it the Enterprise. That was the one that didn't go into space ever. That was just the testing vehicle. And then I think in the actual Star Trek lore, the first Enterprise, the NX-01 that's in the show Enterprise, was named after that. So it's roundabout naming things. And they also show in the intro the aircraft carrier Enterprise, the US aircraft carrier, and then that's part of the reason why it's named that, which I think might have been named for the show also. I don't know, because obviously that word has existed before Star Trek, but
a little bit.
That's what everyone thinks about now with that. Yes, anyway, that's funny. I'm gonna go now.
All right. Well,
this has been fun Enterprise facts with Corbin. Thank you.
Hey, we might as well cap the show, or rather cap the year, with the topic that we have dodged for 2 years? I think that's how long this has been going on. Is that right? Wait.
I don't know what we're talking about.
When did the AP podcast end?
Oh, I don't know. Well, it's ended a lot.
Good point. It's ended as many times as the Starship Enterprise has been destroyed.
Yeah. What's been rebooted more, the AP podcast or Star Trek? Vote on your phones now.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Oh, geez. It's terrible that it's accurate. But anyway, yeah. So, hey, we had to eventually have something of a Star Trek conversation, even if it's random. Honestly, I'm not sure if anyone's listening. My stats are showing nobody's on, which is not the most inspiring thing. If anyone is actually listening, let me know and I'll keep going. If not, I'll probably.
I mean, I remember this happening during the AP podcast a couple times. Someone ventured off into Star Trek and just everyone left.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I think the big dip that I saw earlier, it was actually around the time that we started talking about cameras.
Yeah, I'm sure everyone watches like, not this again.
Very, very likely. But hey, it is the thread that must keep going until such a time that somebody actually develops a good Android-based camera, at which point
we're keeping the dream alive. That's what we're doing.
Yeah. Well, and the moment that happens, chances are I will die falling off a cliff doing it for the gram.
Filmed on the camera.
Yes. That's pretty much how I'm pretty sure that's how the old gypsy lady predicted I would die. Old gypsy woman, whatever. Anyway, dude, good having you. Happy New Year. I guess I'll be saying that actually on the day, since we're probably recording a Tech Tales on that day as well.
Yeah.
That is the day that you scheduled.
Yes,
right?
that is the day I put in my calendar. I forgot. Because again, I've been like, oh wow, 2022, that seems far away. No, it's in 5 days, in a couple days. I just have no concept of time.
Oh, time is an illusion. It's still 2020 in March.
Yeah, we never left March.
All right, man. Anyway, take it easy. And I will catch up with you in a couple of days.
Yes.
3 days, whatever.
Good
days.
Goodbye, all.
Later.
Bye. Later.
All right. Anyway, so again, if anyone is around, let me know, and I'll find more things to talk about. Otherwise, I'm going to quickly do a little bit of sidestep to the one topic I did have left over, which is, holy crap, security is just devastated, everywhere. T-Mobile just had another data breach. This one apparently is a lot more targeted or limited, whatever. But yeah, another T-Mobile data breach. That's at least the second this year. And I think over the last few years, it's been like 1 to 2 a year every year. T-Mobile is the leakiest company that has ever existed. Facebook gives out less user data than T-Mobile. That's a lie. That's definitely not true. Facebook still holds the crown, but no one talks about Facebook doing it anymore. The other big story is apparently Lastpass. Something has happened. It's still I believe it's still unknown exactly what happened, but apparently a lot of the master passwords people are using with Lastpass have been tried on various sites, or in various capacities. People are maybe trying to log into Lastpass. I don't know. It's not exactly clear, but yeah, people are using old master passwords and trying to break in. So if you haven't already heard this, if you're still using that old password from LastPass, get rid of it, kill it, burn it, change it, destroy it. It's not worth having. So yeah. I don't actually have a lot to say on this, outside of the fact that, man, I'm just a little disappointed at LastPass. I'm sad I used it at any point in history. I've long since moved on, but I wouldn't be surprised if this is affecting, or if my account was probably also targeted at some point, which, yes, means I now have to go through and change all of my old passwords, or rather I'm going to. And there's quite a few that I just need to change anyway. I've wanted to change for quite a while. So it actually makes a lot of sense. I don't know when I will find time to do this, but I don't know. I might find a couple of hours some night when I'm not doing anything else, and I'll just start at the top and start rolling through. And when I do, I'm also probably going to make a point of finally, truly, and completely closing down my Lastpass account. I've had it sitting there. I've kind of left it intact because I wanted to make sure everything was moved over. Well, it's probably time to actually finally do that. So yeah, that's pretty much my plan. That being said, why is it this stuff? Why with these people? Why? All right, anyway, so at this stage, I don't see any activity in chat. I think it is time to call it done. So for the last time in 2021, I believe, wait, double checking. Yes, for the last time in 2021, I believe that is the end of the show. Let's see. I should be back this weekend for some antics. I haven't quite decided what's going to get played. It's possibly Hitman. Possibly. I'm kind of looking a little bit at what is the name of it? Damn. Oh, Heist Simulator. It's still in early access, but it is on Stadia, and it looks fun. It looks pretty interesting. So kind of toying with that as a possibility. Let's see. Also, it doesn't cost more than the store credit that I already have on Google Play, so convenient. Let's see, trying to think, was there anything else? Oh, and I know I say this all the time. I do mean it. I need to do some review photos very soon for a few things. So probably going to pop open a stream at some point and roll through some of that stuff, if not a lot of that stuff, including definitely going to be a new cover photo for the RambleCast. And it very much in point of fact, I kind of want to do that specifically as like a special stream, but we'll see when I get to that. Anyway, so I think that about does it. Thanks to everyone for coming by, watching the stream. I shouldn't be doing this, but I'm having fun playing with some true wireless earbuds on the magnets on my MacBook Pro. When I slide them around, they kind of move of their own free will way too long and move goofy. Anyway, thanks to everyone for coming by. Thanks for watching. If you're catching this after the fact, as I know a couple of people plan to be, hope you enjoyed the show. Hope the Star Trek conversation did not alienate you too much. Likewise for the camera conversation. And I will see you all in the new year. And with that, good night, everybody.